What exactly is the former president trying to do? His spokesperson or aide is former Deputy Information Minister Felix Kwakye Ofosu. He's joined us on the line now. Mr. Kwakye Ofosu, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Oh, thank you very much.
So, if the former president believes that what Akufo-Addo has done is wrong, why try to repeat the same thing? Two wrongs don't make a right, do they?
But I'm not sure that the former president has said that he wants to repeat any wrongdoing of Akufo-Addo. You see, one of the things that we must learn to do as a country is to be very candid and honest about developments that occur. To begin with, it has been a long-standing strategy of the NPP to dominate state institutions so that they can have their way on any matter that they deem fit. So they go about packing state institutions with NPP partisans so that at every turn, they hem in the opposition, they emasculate the opposition and dominate. It started in the Kufuor era, but at least with President Kufuor, he used more subtle means. He used a less than obvious approach. So you needed to dig really deep in order to discover the collaboration of the people that he had appointed. But as for President Akufo-Addo, he has taken no prisoners in that regard. He has adopted the crudest fashion to do this. You recall what he did with the Electoral Commission. He came into office, removed Charlotte Osei on trumped-up charges, and promptly appointed persons that we know to be NPP. When we thought that it was going to end there, he did one better by appointing a certain Dr. Apia, who is a dyed-in-the-wool, rabid NPP person as a commissioner, something that has never happened in the history of that commission. Despite public condemnation and demands for a reversal of that decision, he has not done so. Now, if you look at the judiciary, whereas various presidents have exercised their power to appoint judges to the judiciary, they have done so in a measured manner. But President Akufo-Addo has decided that at all costs, the NPP must have overwhelming dominance in the judicial setup. So he has appointed over 11 Supreme Court judges in the last 7 years. He has appointed close to 100 High Court judges and various other persons to various levels in the judicial system. Now, if you come to scrutinize the appointments he has made to both the Supreme Court and the High Court, you find people who are openly and rapidly NPP. Let me give you a few examples. And it's not as if President Mahama spoke out of 10 or he did not know what he was talking about. If you go to the High Court today, the NPP's former Doma East constituency chairman, he is called Justice Solomon Trubesi. Indeed, before he became a constituency chairman in Doma East for the NPP, he was an NPP communicator in Kumasi. He is currently a High Court judge appointed by President Akufo-Addo. There is Justice Eric Ansa Ankuma, who is actually at the Tamale High Court, who is a non-rabid NPP person. In fact, I can show you Facebook posts of his defending the NPP's position on various matters. When President Akufo-Addo made recent appointments to the Supreme Court, Justice Dawu appeared before Parliament's Select Committee on Appointments, and he openly admitted to his membership of the NPP. So what more evidence do you need to show that the judiciary has been heavily politicized? What President Mahama has said is that there is a need for balance. Indeed, Umaru, there's a reason why the symbol for justice is a blind woman or a woman who has been blindfolded holding a sword and a skin. That whole figure represents balance, which is an important requirement for any judiciary. When we say the judiciary is the bulwark of our democracy and the rule of law, it simply means that when all hope is lost, you can look forward to justice being done impartially. Now, the question that must be posed, Umaru, is that can these judges mentioned, whose NPP collaboration is known, be expected to be fair and balanced in cases where the NPP of President Akufo-Addo has a direct interest? If you take a case to somebody who is a former Doma East constituency chairman of the NPP, do you expect that such a person, in a case that has political implications for his party, can exercise balance? In fact, you will not even be fair to him if you have such an expectation of him. Because he is human, he has emotions. And despite his legal or judicial training, the fact that he is associated with the party creates a difficulty for him in terms of fairness and balance. So it is a very important matter that the former president has raised. And we should not trivialize it on the altar of responses coming from yet more NPP people. And for instance, the GBA president, who incidentally is also an NPP person, because in 2004, he attempted to contest for a parliamentary seat in the NPP, I think in the Kwadaso constituency. His father is a well-known NPP heavyweight, Mr. F.K. Boafo. He also used to be a communicator for the NPP in Kumasi. And I know that for a fact. He has come out to, of course, support President Akufo-Addo. So how do you expect that there will be fairness and balance in this sort of situation? So the first president has merely called for balance. He has said that NDC persons who are in the legal profession should also consider receiving further training to become judges, so that at the very least there's a semblance of balance within the judiciary. That perhaps will lead to a point where there is conversation on the need to retweak and overhaul the system, so that persons who exercise impartiality and meet a basic criteria of fairness and balance are appointed to the judiciary.
You started by cataloguing from Kufuor's time. I thought after Kufuor you would mention Atta Mills, mention John Mahama before landing on Akufo-Addo. But after listing the people that, or mentioning that John Kufuor did that, even though he did it not to the gravity or the level that Akufo-Addo has done, you jump straight to Akufo-Addo. I'm wondering what happened between the 8 years of 2009 to 2016. Did Mills also appoint people? Did Mahama also do the same?
Of course. The question is not about whether or not the president has appointed people. The president has power in the constitution to do such appointments. And there's nobody who questions that. Of course, there are those who believe that another way can be found in order to insulate judges further from pressures from the executive. But that is even beside the point. Nobody has questioned the president's right to appoint. What has been questioned is the tendency of this president to appoint openly partisan NPP people to an institution which requires impartiality from its stewards. And we do not feel that this situation bodes well. President Mills did not appoint NDC people to the bench. President Mahama did not do the same. Indeed, I heard people mention Justice Atau and Justice Scott Puaman. Justice Scott Puaman was the General Secretary of the PNC, not the NDC. And if you know the history of the PNC was founded by Dr. Ila Liman. And there's no love lost between Dr. Liman and the NDC, if you know the antecedents. Justice Atau was a member of the PNDC. But the PNDC was not a political organization. Indeed, one of the members of the PNDC is President Kufuor, who later became president on the ticket of the NPP. Justice Atau, of the NDC. He served in an official capacity as an appointee of the PNDC administration. But that was not a political organization, it was a military government that had civilians working with it. So those two do not qualify in the same breath as people who are openly identified with the new Patriotic Party. And it is not just the judiciary. The electoral commission suffers the same. If you go to the NCCU today, Catherine Ladi is a well-known NPP person. So every institution has been dominated by NPP people. And for that reason, the level of efficiency that you expect of them has dwindled because they believe that they owe allegiance the party and president who appointed them, rather than the state. And that is the problem that President Mahama highlighted in his speech at the conference. And
so in solving that problem, President Mahama's smart move is to balance it out by also appointing NDC-tinted persons to the bench. That is the master solution.
First of all, if the judiciary is populated with NPP people and you want to balance it out, what do you do? What do you do?
So your solution is that you are going to people...
Listen. First of all, the president has not said he's going to appoint these people. The tape you played is clear. He says NDC people or people, lawyers with NDC information should also go through the training to become judges. That's the first point. The second point is that, well, we have a situation where all these people I've mentioned are in the judiciary, they are working as judges. That situation exists. There's nothing that anybody can do about it in terms of removing them or anything, and we will not even advocate that. So how do you balance it? How do you ensure the other half of the political divide, the NDC, does not continue to suffer? You certainly cannot leave a situation where the NPP dominates. until the point where we come to a determination that partisanship has no place in our judicial arrangements, the most effective way of ensuring balance is to ensure that people from the other side to get onto the bench. In any event, if you go to advanced democracies like the US, they have an openly partisan Supreme Court where people are appointed with full knowledge of their ideological inclinations. And it does not pose a problem.
Okay.
So if that is the system that we want, then perhaps we should gravitate towards it.
All right.
But the fundamental point, which for me is far more important, is that this sort of thing must stop. President Akufo-Addo must be told that he can no longer handle state institutions like extensions of the NPP.
All right. Could you please stay on the line for me? I want to put your views to someone who is a lawyer and who is with the New Patriotic Party, to ask them if first of all, they agree that they've parked it, and whether they would have a difficulty in 2025 if NDC wins and decides to also replicate same. Gary Nimako is Director of Legal Affairs for the New Patriotic Party. He's a lawyer. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thank you very much.
How are you? I'm doing well. First of all, Akufo-Addo has been in government for more than 6 years. Felix Kwakye Ofosu on the other line has just listed for me a number of persons who are known NPP supporters and sympathizers who have been pushed to the bench at various levels of the courts. Now, he's re-echoing what his boss, former President Mahama, has said. And Mahama says it is up to 80, the number of persons who've been put in the judiciary. And these are all cronies of the New Patriotic Party. You are a lawyer. You've been observing the promotions and appointments to the bench. What's your initial comment to that?
You see, good evening to your cherished listeners. It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate, the kind of comments that my brother Felix Kwakye is making, supporting President Mahama on your show. It's very unfortunate. You see, it exposes their lack of understanding of how the court system works. They are making it appear as if the court is there to deal with only political cases. It's unfortunate. The courts deal with land cases, maritime cases, constitutional cases, matrimonial cases, and all sort of litigation that comes before the court. Look, the issue about even political cases is less than 1% of the cases that come to the court. After electing petition that came to the court, which they lost, which case have they taken to court, which is a political nature again? You see, it's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. As Akufo-Addo had built over 440 bungalows, over 100 courts have been built across the country. These courts have been built across the country, 100 courts, and 140 bungalows. Should not be staffed by human beings, by judges and staff? Let me tell you, how many courts did President Mahama build in the time he became president of the Republic? Not more than three. Not more than three. Built over 140 bungalows.
Is that why he decides to put his party members to fill those buildings?
Who is saying that they are party people? Who is saying that? What is the test? What is the test to say that who have been put there, they are party people? They are not party people.
Felix Kwakye just mentioned a number of them, and if you want, I can let him repeat those people for you, so you tell me whether it's a lie or not.
Let me tell you, I'm not in any situation going to engage in that kind of argument or that kind of debate with him.
No, but if you deny and he mentions a name, then you have to then say that.
Which name did he mention?
He's mentioned your constituency. Okay, he's mentioned constituency chairman and so on. Let me just, Felix, you mentioned a constituency chairman in Kumasi whom you said is a judge now. Could you just tell me who that is?
Let me put it on record. Personally, I have no problem with these justices. I'm only stating it as a matter of fact and to illustrate the point that Adama has been making. I thought that he knows Justice Solomon Chumisi, who used to be the Goma East constituency chairman of the NPP. Indeed, when I finish talking to you, I will forward a clip to you in which Justice Chumisi, then in his guise as an NPP communicator, was representing the NPP on the station. Then he also knows Justice Eric Ankoma. In fact, he even used to work with Nano Biwa. He was a former general secretary of the NPP. But that is even not the issue. I will also forward to you Facebook posts of this gentleman in which he is clearly expressing his NPP positions. Gary was in this country and appointments of or nominations of Supreme Court justices. Justice Gawu, who was a parliamentary candidate for the NPP in the Volta region, openly admitted his membership of the NPP.
Okay, let's leave it there.
No.
So, Felix, you leave it there. Gary, he mentions three names. Felix, so it's okay. Gary, he mentions three names. These are verifiable names. Do I have Gary? Okay, I think I've lost Gary. We'll try to reestablish connection with him. Felix Kwakye, I still have you on the line there. Now, my question is that if you decide to neutralize, quote and unquote, that's what you're planning to do, you are essentially then creating a blue and green judiciary. What happens to the neutrality of the judiciary that we've been praying for? You've even referred to the blind scale holder.
Absolutely. You see, ideally, Umaru, people should be appointed purely on the basis of merit. But there's another requirement. You see, justices or judges are held in very high esteem. And it's not simply because they are trained to be judges. They are expected to live lives that, first of all, exhibit candor and impartiality, because ultimately they determine people's speech. Gary was seeking to trivialize the number of political cases that go to the court. Why? Let me give you one example. Right after the e-levy fracas in Parliament, when the minority said that they had voted down the 2022 budget, or the 2023 budget, you recall that Justice Abdullahi took that case to court. And within a few weeks, the matter was settled.
Okay, let me...
Are you aware? Are you aware that the minority also, based on the same principle, took the purported passage of the budget by the majority side to court? And for years, that matter has not been lifted. We also saw the justice cases in this country. We've seen how the courts treated the Moon Trade when they were deemed to be in contempt of the court. We've also seen how the court handled the Japan contempt matter.
Okay, don't continue.
So many cases that are connected.
So you hold it. Let me see. I have Gary back on the line. Mr. Nimako, so Felix Kwakye mentioned three names and says that these are known sympathizers of your party and even executives and also parliamentary candidates in one of the instances. One of them, the parliamentary candidate, is now a Supreme Court judge. Two others is listed as being judges. This is evidence. Three is a significant number to use for sampling, isn't it?
So the three who are there, they are there because of merit or they are there because of politics. You see, that is why I realized that, you see, this kind of argument they're putting out there, I mean, it's neither here nor there. Do you know that in 2009, a two-term parliamentary candidate, a two-term MP of the NDC, Amity Central, is a High Court judge? Are you aware? And it's a High Court judge, are you aware? In the Volta region, are you aware? Are you aware of, look, you see, because I'm a lawyer, I cannot go the route that Ofosu is going. I cannot. Because you see, if you do that, you will seek to question and impugn the people who are there. I see they are not fit to be there. The fact somebody said a party affiliated, even whatever it is, does not mean the person is not fit to be there. You test the quality of their work by looking at their judgment that they are writing, the quality of the judgment that they are writing, whether on the basis of the facts, the law, that person is fit to be a High Court judge, a Court of Appeal judge, or Supreme Court judge. And
that's why he just referred to that the justice is being skewed against them. He talks about what happened with the dismissal of the e-levy budget and what we saw in the courts. And he said they still have a case which is pending. He just referred there to James Jachikwesin, who is supposed to come to court on a daily basis.
Listen to me. If you
I'm listening to you.
Case to court. For instance, the election petition that former President Mahama took to court in 2020, and then you are asked to produce your evidence. See, the law is not mathematics. The law is facts, the evidence, and the law supporting your case. And you have to produce evidence to support your case. And you tell the court that you didn't bring any evidence to support your case. And then it's thrown away. You say that the court didn't help you? How can the court help you when nobody put any evidence before the court? You go to court with evidence. You don't go to court to go and repeat whatever you are saying. And if you go, you're going to be thrown away. From that time, former president has just been lashing at the court, calling them all sort of names. You see, let us be very careful. If we destroy the issue of the judiciary, it's a very dangerous thing that we are doing to ourselves. Let's be very, 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 very careful. Let us be very, very careful. That's the last bastion of our democracy. But be very careful. Look, that is the only institution of this country that can resolve disputes between the citizens, among the citizens, between the state and the citizens. If you go the route that what President Mahama is going, I think that we will end up taking this country into an abyss. It's a very serious matter that we must look at it. How do you say that to balance an equation, if indeed what you are even alleging is even true, is to pack the court with members of the NDC when you get power? I mean, how do you say that? Is it true that the court?
He did not say he. Well, Martin has been drawn. He has not said he'll pack the court. He just said that they should ready themselves to also take up. What
does that mean? In your own, what does it mean?
It means they will get there on merit, not on partisan basis.
You see, my brother, let me tell you something. Felix is my brother. And one thing that I keep saying, the institution of our state, if we decide to run them down the way we are doing, because you are not the one in power, so you run it down. When you come to power one day, who institution are they going to work with? They will create their own court, or they will now set up the court from the very scratch and hire new judges and sack those who are there. Is that what they are going to do?
I don't think they want to. I don't think they'll sack. They want to neutralize. So they want to have.
I'm saying that. I am telling you that the political cases is a minute fraction of the cases being handled by the court.
Gary, how do you, if you were in the shoes of the NDC and you feel that there are 80 appointees by Akufo-Addo and these appointees are serving the interests of the NPP, if you came to office, what would you do to neutralize? That's the question Felix Kwakye asked.
In the first place, there is no appointee on the bench that is serving the interests of the president. There is no appointee. They must show by evidence. And by evidence, they must show that, yes, they went to court, they had a case, the law was on their side, and the law was twisted against them. That's the beginning of the beginning. You must demonstrate that, yes, you went to court, the law was on your side, the evidence was on your side, and yet the law was one way or the other manhandled or twisted against you because of politics. They haven't shown that. They haven't shown that. They have not shown that. That's what I'm saying, that you went to the Supreme Court in the legislative tradition, all right? When you went there, you didn't produce any evidence before the court, your case was thrown away. Why? It's the same court that made President Mahama the president, isn't it?
In 2013.
The same Supreme Court. The same Supreme Court.
Yes, in 2013. But Gary, finally, Felix makes
at that time, was the court a political court?
No, that was a court immediately after Atameo, so maybe it was by then Akufo-Addo had not come into office.
No,
and Felix
I'm asking a question. When the court granted his release and made him the president, that time he was not a political court. Let us be very careful, my brother. Let us be very, very careful. You see, let us be very, very careful not to destroy our institution of state.
Last question.
The judiciary is a very sensitive, sensitive, position in the history of our country.
Last question. Do you think we should go the American way where the political views of judges, at least at the Supreme Court, are known? Because Felix believes that perhaps that's another way of looking at it, so that this judge, even before a case comes before them, we know that this judge is either Democrat or Republican, but we again trust that they will do their job with the fairness that is required and balance.
You see, every judge, if he or she wants to vote, will vote. Every judge, if he or she wants to vote, he will vote. But their views are not made public. Their views are in-camera views. For me, what is important is that before you go to court, you build a theory of your case. Your case must build on solid foundation, solid evidence, no weak foundation. And you go to court and the case is thrown away, and then you come and say, well, it's politics. And you see, constantly, this has been going on to fit into a certain narrative for the public to believe that, yes, that is the truth. But that is a fallacy. It's not the truth. The truth is that they went to court without any evidence to show the court. How can the court help you? To the extent that down the line, we are told that they are not pushing at all. They are not pushing at all.
Gary, my question was about politicizing but neutralizing the court. I wanted to hear your perspective on that.
I don't think that the court is politicized now. I don't think so. What I think strongly is that if you are going to the court, go to the court with a solid case. Why? People go to the court, they lose cases all the time, and they come back to the house because they had a bad case. That is all. Go to court with a solid case, and you hear good news from the judges. That's all. But I'm not comfortable at all with the way President Mahama, former President Mahama, is trying to run under the institution of state like the Judiciary. It's a very sensitive office, and let's be very careful as Ghanaians. Else, people will lose interest and confidence in the Judiciary, and say, "Well, if I have a problem with you, they don't go to court. They will take the law into their own hands, and then we move."
Very well.
Let's be very careful. Let's be very, very careful as a country.
Thank you for speaking to us. That's Gary Nimako, who is Director of Legal Affairs of the NPP. Felix, you've listed so many institutions that you say have all become politicized. You mentioned the NCCE. You even say the Ghana Bar Association executive who spoke is an NPP person. Gary is saying to you that take a strong case to court and you win. A weak case in court, or if you fail to argue your case out in court, you lose and turn out to call the judges' names. These same judges have served justice in your favor in the past. Why are you bad-mouthing them now simply because you failed to do your job as a legal team?
My friend Gary is being duplicitous. When President Akufo-Addo's bogus case before the Supreme Court in 2013 was thrown out.
Do you have to use bogus to make the point?
Oh, it was bogus. I said it the day. Let me
fine. I just want to, let me just make a point. So hold on. It's fine. Felix. So it was as
bogus case. They lost elections in 2012.
Felix, Kwakye Ofosu. Felix. Felix. Just a second. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Okay, all right.
So it was as bogus as the 2020 petition of John Mahama. That's what I want to say.
You can describe the 2020 petition as bogus. That's your view.
Okay, proceed.
My view is that President Akufo-Addo's case in 2012 was bogus. It was thrown up. Check what the likes of W. Chedako, Esulowusu, Sir John, and the like said about Justice Atuguba and the panel that sat on it. Did they not tell us that the Afantele was the one who we used to broker bribery for the members of the panel? What did that not say here? So why is Gary claiming that mere criticism of the Supreme Court's work after the 2020 election is the reason why President Mahama is saying this? That is not the reason why. Number two, let me put it on record that when it comes to providing infrastructure for the judiciary, nobody comes close to the Mills Mahama administration. The most prominent court complex in Ghana today was put up by the Mills Mahama administration, and the NPP cannot match it. In any event, they went to demolish bungalows that had been built for judges under the guise of building the cathedral. That said also, let me also place it on record that this attempt that the NPP endorses, anytime there's a criticism of the judiciary, they tell us that if we criticize the judiciary, people will no longer take cases to court. Judges themselves appreciate that their work comes up for scrutiny. The fact that you criticize a judge does not mean that you have discouraged anybody from going to the court to seek redress. But the point is that judges must conduct themselves in a certain way. When you appoint persons with political leanings and cases come before them, and they conduct themselves in a certain way, they rule in a certain way that is bizarre. For instance, look at the ruling in the birth certificate matter. A document on which the person's parents are named, where they come from is named. We are told cannot constitute a document which can show where somebody comes from. That ruling was made in this country. Why? I give you an example of the Montier trade. Umaru. The Montier trade sat on radio and they disparaged judges. Everybody condemned it. They were sentenced to a 4-month prison term and fined about 30,000 Ghana cedis each. Even the owners of the station were also fined huge sums of money. An MP belonging to the NPP, Tenejapon, also goes on TV and disparages a high court judge. He wants someone with a slap on the wrist. Do you need me to tell you that people have been treated differently? How is it that NDC members are treated so harshly for the same offense that Tenejapon conducted, for the same offense that Tenejapon committed, and got away with a slap on the wrist? So these are factual matters that we can relate to. And it is not surprising. Gary and his MPP are beneficiaries of the imbalance that we are talking about. So I'm not surprised that they will defend them. But let nobody tell us that merely because you criticize the court, suddenly you undermine the judiciary.
Okay.
The thing that undermines the judiciary is imbalance and unfairness, and not any criticism.
All right. Leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Felix Kwakye Ofosu is a former Deputy Minister of Information and aide to former President John Mahama.